Welcome to Murfreesboro Storytellers. Today's program is originating on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University, and we're coming to you from the Dean A. Hayes Track and Soccer Stadium. And we're coming to you today to talk about the Alzheimer's Association, and in particular, the annual walk for the Alzheimer's Association. We have with us today, as our guest on the program, Chris West of NHC, who happens to be a board member for the Alzheimer's Association for Middle Tennessee, Emily Pegg, who is missions chair, and Dina O'Neill, who is the walk manager for this year's walk. First of all, the date of the walk is when?
September 21st.
And be right here where we're originating the program, right?
Exactly. Registration will start at 8 a.m. and then we'll start the walk at 9 a.m.
That's a Saturday, correct?
It is a Saturday morning.
Welcome, folks. Let's talk about the Alzheimer's Association. What has been your responsibility, Chris, as a member of the board of directors?
Well, I think as far as, I think it really goes back to NHC and our participation in not only the Walk To End Alzheimer's, but also the association. I think, of course we have a passion, and we have several residents who suffer from this cruel disease, and as a result, we interact with a lot of not only the residents, but their family members and helping them through this. And so naturally, as far as our involvement with it, it's a passionate thing, and we feel it's an important thing, and we can do nothing more than make the community more aware of this disease and the services that the Alzheimer's Association can provide to you. And I think learning more about what the association does, the impressive stuff is all the resources that they can provide to a caregiver who is helping someone with Alzheimer's.
And NHC has been very supportive financially and participating wise, right?
Well, we've been very fortunate. NHC has a national team. It's one of the top ones in the U.S. That participates in the Walk To End Alzheimer's. But I think how that all got started, it got started actually here in Murfreesboro. A former employee who took this on as her cause, Melinda Vance, really got NHC motivated to participate in this. And and I can remember this started as a very small endeavor 20 years ago out at the VA, and now it's grown into, I believe it's the second largest Alzheimer's walk in the state.
Is that right?
Yes.
Just behind Nashville. So we're beating out, Chattanooga, Knoxville, and and Memphis, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, Emily, tell us what your position is as missions chair.
Well, as the missions chair, it's my job to keep in our mindset our mission and why we do this walk. And it's so that we can raise money, so that we can have the resources available to the caregivers, so that we can raise money for research to find a cure. And that's really important to me personally. My maternal grandmother had Alzheimer's. Okay. My mother had it. So it's genetically in my family, and so it's of a personal interest to find a cure.
I guess everyone has either somebody in their family or somebody they know that suffered or is suffering from Alzheimer's. It's certainly a widespread disease, is it not?
Yes.
1 out of 3 seniors will pass away with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. So
1 out of 3.
1 out of 3. So it's very significant.
It is.
It's the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. And Tennessee ranks 4th out of all the states where Alzheimer's is listed as the cause of death. Rutherford County ranks 3rd out of all the counties in Tennessee where Alzheimer's is listed as the cause of death. So it has a significant impact on Rutherford County.
Is there any cure to it, any way of preventing, stopping it, curing
Unfortunately, no. At this time, we don't have a definitive test for Alzheimer's. It's observational. Mm-hmm. There is no direct treatment that can directly stop the disease, and there's no cure for the disease at this time.
I understand there are 3 stages of Alzheimer's, is that correct?
Yes, there's an early, a middle, and a late stage.
What are the early signs?
Those would be things like an inability to problem solve. Let's say I left my keys somewhere. I'm not able to backtrack and remember, oh, where was the last place I had my keys? Let me go back there. what did I do next, and work my way forward until I find my keys.
Okay.
So problem solving is one area.
Okay. And that's an early sign.
That is an early sign.
And the second stage?
In the second stage, that is where they're going to start to have language difficulties. It's like a word search difficulty. Inside, they know what they want to say, but they're unable to find that word to communicate with.
And then the final stage is obvious, I guess.
In the final stage, that's when you're going to see that they have some swallowing difficulties. Their ability to communicate is pretty significantly impacted too. So it's a pretty disheartening time.
I'm sure. Chris, as far as NHC and other organizations, how do they treat this? How do they approach it and work against it, if you will?
Well, I know what we like to do at NHC is we like to do a lot of education about the disease, and we do that in conjunction with the Alzheimer's Association. I know, of course, NHC is actually based here in Murfreesboro, and we were founded here in Murfreesboro back in '71. So we've always had a presence here. But I think, here in each one of our locations, we always have some specialists who focus on Alzheimer's, but as far as the resources that are with the association, we always try to make sure our folks are aware of that. We always try to be supportive of that. We have a lot of informational campaigns throughout the year, emphasizing Alzheimer's, and we like to do that in association with the Alzheimer's Association. So it's an ongoing educational thing, but it really does come to its crescendo in the months leading up to this walk that we're so passionate about.
We also provide physicians with a free app.
Oh, do you?
That has also web access, and on that app they have free cognitive screeners, for example. Statistics say 16% of seniors say that they've only been screened for Alzheimer's. That leaves a large percentage of seniors who've not received any type of a cognitive screening. And so physicians can use the screeners we have in this app right there in their hands. It also has the latest research, medication information, and lets them help their patients connect with resources like support groups.
Well, once you've had the screening, what is the next step? The doctor then will address that with the patient?
They'll address it with the patient. They may involve a neurologist in the patient's care. I know that you went through this journey with your mom. What were some of the next steps for her?
Tell us about your experiences.
Once my mom was diagnosed, then she did see a neurologist. She was prescribed medications that don't cure the disease, but they sort of stall the progress of the disease. And so those were sort of the next steps. We just treated the symptoms that she would have. And we talked about at some point she did need to go on antidepressants, things like that, just to help to deal with the progression of the disease.
Are there diets that would help in forestalling it, preventing it, delaying it?
Right now, we don't advocate any certain type of diet. There are risk factors that can lead to the possibility of Alzheimer's in your future. Some of those risk factors could be if you smoke, if you are overweight, do you read a lot or not? Those who read more, research shows, tend to have less cognitive issues in the senior ages. So there's several different risk factors that play a part that you have control over to try and help.
Are there specific specialties in medical work that deal with Alzheimer's or dementia? I guess there are.
Well, they would work probably in conjunction with a geriatric specialist if they are age 65 or older, along with the neurologist.
How about exercise? Does that help?
Oh, exercise is always helpful because that's going to give you those endorphins to help for when they are feeling depressed, to help them feel better. And those who are more active do tend to do better.
Okay. And depression, I guess, is a part of it. That's an indicator.
Yes, and depression, it comes about because I think even though, I don't know your experience, but I know I lost both my grandparents to Alzheimer's, and what they ran into is they didn't have the language to say how they felt, but I think inside they had a somewhat of an understanding that things are different and they're not the way they should be.
Emily, what are your experiences with Alzheimer's, dealing with your mother and with other members of the family? What's your reaction, your feeling toward where we are?
I'm encouraged by it. When my grandmother was diagnosed when I was about 18 years old,
Okay.
and there's a 20-year time span between my grandmother's diagnosis and my mother's.
Okay.
It's amazing how far care had advanced, our knowledge of the disease had advanced in the 20 years. When my grandmother was diagnosed, I grew up in Nashville. There was not a single book in the downtown Nashville Public Library about Alzheimer's. The only research I could do was just periodicals. It would just be from Times and Newsweek. That's all I had. But when my mother was diagnosed, not only were there books in the library, but there was the Alzheimer's Association, and there was the 1-800 number and all those resources. So I'm encouraged to see what we're going to do in the next 20. And I really feel like we're going to hit on a cure in
That's
that 20
encouraging.
years.
Yes, I think so. What are your feelings about the future, Dana?
I think the future is hopeful. Hopeful is the word I would use. I went to a research luncheon just last week, and they have in clinical trials the possibility of some tests that might be able to identify Alzheimer's. And that is a huge step forward in the disease.
Because the earlier you can find it or locate it or suspect it, the better off you are, I'm sure.
Yes, the more you can impact the disease. So that will be amazing when that happens.
Let's talk about the walk.
Yes.
Coming up in September. How many people ordinarily participate in the walk?
Approximately 1,800 people participate on average in the walk.
I know a lot of work goes into the walk
Yes.
prior to staging it. Tell us what all you need to do between now and September 21st.
Wow, that's a lot.
Either one, all three of you. Yeah.
We have committee meetings monthly to plan the walk. It is a year-round event to plan this walk.
So not just that one day, but leading up to it.
Leading up to it, because we have events that lead up to the walk and then events following the walk. So it truly is a year-long event, if you look at it that way. So we are planning ways to get people registered for teams, because the earlier teams register, then usually the more they are able to fundraise for their team and earn incentives themselves. So we have incentives for the walkers. If you earn $100, you get a walk t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
And it goes up from there at $300, $500, and continuing on. And then if you earn $500, if you raise that amount of money, you are considered a champion and get into a VIP tent at the walk.
Oh my goodness.
And you're recognized at an event following the walk. And then at $1,000, you're considered a grand champion, and $2,500, you're an elite grand champion. And we are lucky enough in Rutherford County that we have one of the top 100 fundraisers in America.
That's tremendous.
Mike Gann.
I was going to mention Mike. Ask you about
Yes,
him.
he is amazing. Mike has been with the walk with Rutherford County for the 20 years it's been here. So he is one of the originators of the walk.
He always has a good costume too.
I have heard rumor of this costume. I haven't seen it yet, but evidently it is a suit that looks like money.
Oh, yes.
He is the money man.
Yeah.
He is the money man.
Mike the Money Man, right. He participated in the Celebrity Waiters Dinner this past year.
Yes.
And wore the uniform, wore the
Yes.
outfit, you know.
Yes, he loves that outfit.
Okay. He's an amazing person.
He is.
Chris, tell us more about NHC and what you folks are doing leading up to September 21st.
Well,
and beyond.
We have a committee at NHC that's really responsible for a lot of the fundraising activities we have internally.
Okay.
You know, it's fortunate we've been doing this for several years now, so there's always a lot of anticipation for when walk season kicks in. But there's a lot of things we do that are sort of competitive in nature. We have a trophy that we extend to the employer in Rutherford County who raises the most money, which, you know, there's a little competition, good-hearted competition in that. But we do things from, one of our centers here, NHC Healthcare Murfreesboro over on University Street, they have a block party, which is a wonderful event. And here at the home office, our corporate office, we do a lot of events that involve senior management and all the different floors that operate within there, and there's always some healthy competition.
Yeah.
And Adam's Place now, they're sort of playing a little catch up with the other two and doing some great things. So it's an ongoing promotional type of event, and this year our folks are real excited about the new Walk To End Alzheimer's phone app that you have that you can use. Then you could probably talk a little bit more about that.
So, apps are how people function a lot these days. So the Walk To End Alzheimer's nationwide has an app that you can download to your phone. It's simply named Walk To End Alzheimer's. It's white with purple lettering. And on that app, you can track how much you individually have raised, how much your team has raised. It has templates so that you can send from that app emails, text messages, you can post to LinkedIn, you can do a Facebook fundraiser, you can post to all kinds of different social media like that. It's a great thing, and then it also can be used if you get a donation like mobile banking. So you would use it in that way to enter the donation that way.
I notice on Facebook a lot of people raise funds for their birthday.
Yes, they do.
And designate the organization it goes to, so I'm sure Alzheimer's has been a beneficiary of some of that.
Yes, through the app you can set up a Facebook fundraiser, and that way it ties that fundraiser on Facebook to your team. And people do use that for birthdays, anniversaries, other special events to get people motivated to donate.
Back to NHC and Adams Place, I believe you recently added a memory unit to Adams Place.
We do have a new memory care unit. It's been open it's been about 2 years now. That is a state-of-the-art facility, and it's on our campus there, and it's providing great care to the citizens of Rutherford County, and it's pretty much full most of the time because of that need in this community.
You have other facilities of the same type of accommodations?
We do. We actually, as far as in this specific community, we do not, but we did open up a brand new memory care unit in West Knoxville in the Farragut community. That is, once again, it was a community that needed that service, and it's doing quite well, and is providing some great care to West Knoxville.
John, there's
Yes,
currently
please.
5 million Americans diagnosed with Alzheimer's as of
5 million.
Yes, sir. And by 2050, it will move up to over 16 million people diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Typically, there are 3 caregivers for every 1 person with Alzheimer's, and so you can see exponentially how the numbers just really grow and how people are impacted by this disease.
And if your parents or your loved one that has Alzheimer's, if they don't have long-term health care insurance, all of that care is out of pocket.
Yeah, it gets to be very expensive.
It does. That was our experience with our mom. Thankfully, our dad had prepared for that ahead of time, and we were able to pay for her to live in a care facility. But I have a lot of friends that cannot afford that, and it's very difficult, especially if you have a full-time job. You're trying to maintain your household and take care of your parent. That's difficult. When my mother was diagnosed, I still had 2 children living in my home. I was a full-time employed, and it was very difficult.
Yeah, I can see how it would be. So folks are resorting to a lot of efforts, I guess, to get help and to get care for their loved ones.
And that's why this fundraiser is so important. Our families are already tremendously impacted financially by this disease. We don't want to add to that by charging for any service whatsoever. So all of the services we offer the community are free of charge. If we have an educational training, it is free to attend. The 1-800 number we have has master's level clinicians that staff it 24/7. You can call them and they will answer any questions you have, connect you with resources in your community. If you have a loved one out of state, they can connect you to resources in their state. And you know what? If you've been a caregiver and you're just having a rough time, They're a good listener too.
That's wonderful. That's important.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, very definitely is. What have we left out about the walk and the plans and the carrying out of the walk itself? We want good weather, of course.
We want good weather because I understand that last year it was 26 degrees. It was held in November. And so the walk was moved to September, and that's very important for everybody to
Much
know.
better date, I think, than November. Huh?
Much better date. It should be better weather, but that has moved the walk up 60 days.
Okay, that's good.
Right, but it's the actual walk event itself is one of the most uplifting, fun things you can do, and it's right here in our community. And please come out and participate because it's for a great cause, but it's a fun event too.
Yeah, I've been, and when my wife was still alive, she didn't quite have Alzheimer's, but had some dementia, and we used to come, and I even had a friend who even pushed her chair for me in the walk, which I didn't expect, but it is a fun event, and so fun that you know the good that it brings about.
Yes.
When you realize you're in a community of people who are also affected by the disease, you're not alone.
All have a common cause.
Right. That's one of the things I love about the Promise Garden ceremony, where everyone's given a different color flower depending on how Alzheimer's relates to them. And so it's just nice to see there were other people who were caregivers like me. There were other people who have lost a loved one like me.
Tell us about the Promise Garden. We didn't mention that, I don't believe, did we?
Well, there are 5 colored flowers. The orange flower is for people who they don't necessarily have a loved one with Alzheimer's, but they come to support the cause.
Okay.
A yellow flower is for those who have a loved one with the disease that they're caring for. Purple is for someone who has lost a loved one.
Okay.
Blue is for someone living with Alzheimer's. And then white is for our first survivor, which we haven't given away yet, but we hope that we will give that away
Oh
soon.
boy, that'll be a day.
Yes.
Yes, it will.
That will be tremendous. That's
We like to say that we're waiting for the day when we can meet that first survivor.
Yeah. No way to predict it, is there?
No, there's not.
We hope they're from Rutherford
Oh,
County.
absolutely, absolutely. Somebody we know or
Yeah.
or related to or whatever.
Sure.
What a wonderful celebration that would be.
Yes.
What else do folks need to know about the walk, and what do they need to do to participate? Just show up?
Well, they can go to alz.org/walk. They can enter in the zip code for where they live around Rutherford County and click on the Walk to End Alzheimer's Rutherford County and register a team from there. We will have registration on site though if they want to do that. But the sooner you register, the more time you have to fundraise.
Sure.
There is no fee to walk. It's a free walk to attend. It's really important to us that we are helping the community be more aware and aware of what's available to them.
Part of the registration is to sign up early and then get out and raise money yourself for the walk, right?
Yes, sir.
And there you'll have incentives and awards to those that excel.
Yes, we do.
Anything we left out about the Alzheimer's Association in our community and the walk itself in particular?
I just feel very lucky that Rutherford County is such a strong supporter of the Alzheimer's Association. I've seen Alzheimer's from the professional standpoint and from the family standpoint. And it's a disease that takes a toll on everybody involved. And so, this is just a great group of people who are spending their own spare time to help make this huge event happen. And the day of the event is a lot of fun, a lot of touched feelings, but it's very uplifting.
Any other thoughts that you have come to mind?
I'm just proud to be a part of this, to be a missions chair. I was really honored to be asked. I just feel like it's another way to continue telling my mom's story even after she's passed away. It's just a way to continue to honor her.
Chris, NHC does such a tremendous job locally and nationally.
Well, I just think as far as our walk on the 21st, just encourage everyone to come out. It's, it's a disease that has not only national implications, but it has strong local implications. And I think that's, we have a lot of community-minded folks here in Rutherford County, and we're very blessed to have that. And it's very endearing to see that at the walk. You have folks of all different types of lives participating. but just come out and join us and participate in the fundraising, whether it's on the website or the app. There's all kinds of easy ways to get engaged, and we just want to invite folks to do that. And you know, a contribution is a contribution to hear what, so we'd love to have you.
Give us that app again, Dina.
The app is Walk to End Alzheimer's. You can register your team at alz.org/walk. It's pretty easy to sign up. You just enter in your name and your information and come up with a creative team name, and you're off and running.
Very good. We've been originating from the Dean A. Hayes Track and Soccer Stadium on the campus of MTSU, where on September 21st, the Walk to End Alzheimer's for Rutherford County will be held.